I ended up with a 1 in a million operation. I've walked out of the hospital with a 1 in a million operation, but I walked out a much different individual than I walked in. I knew that what we were doing was wrong, was absolutely, totally non-sustainable. Here's a scone that my wife made. Try that. Vegan. Everything in the house is vegan.
Yeah.
There's no animal products in anything that we have here.
Oh, and it tastes good.
Everybody thought the same way. It was mass hysteria. Everybody was doing it. It must be okay. You started from the time you were a child. And can you imagine what it was like when I first asked myself the question, should we be eating animals? It was one of the most thought-provoking questions I ever had in my life, because I had never even considered that. Yeah. And when you stop and think about it, it is so straightforward and open. Should we eat animals? Absolutely not. Do we need them for protein? Absolutely not. Are they good for us? Absolutely not. Do they enjoy us eating them? Absolutely not. My hometown newspaper put my picture in the front page, and it said, Montana's most famous vegetarian. I picked up the phone and I called him up and I said, why don't you tell it the way it is? Montana's only vegetarian. They said, no, we have one of you kind of guys here at the paper, so we know there are two. But people don't want to believe that somebody that from the inside of the industry, that when you look at it, the one thing when I debate the issue with somebody from the industry, their common defense is, oh, well, you don't understand. I spent 45 years of my life there. There's nothing that they have done that I haven't done more of it. I've milked more cows, I've slopped more pigs, I've fed more animals, and when they tell me I don't understand, I understand. And what I understand is what we're doing is wrong, it's non-sustainable, it's not good for us, it's not good for the animals, it's not good for the planet. The sooner we stop what we are doing, the better we'll all be.
Did you also notice that there are more women vegan or vegetarian than men?
Well, yeah. You know why?
Tell me why.
They're smarter.
Ah.
Yeah. Do you know why women live longer than men?
Tell me.
Because men have to live with women. What I did is I went out on the road and I started talking to people. I traveled about 100,000 miles a year. It was not unusual for me to do 3 or 4 lectures a day. Some of the groups were large, some of them were small. The largest group I ever talked to was 40,000. The smallest was 2. We should never count the crowd. You never know how many people that are there are going to get the information. My job was not to save the world. My job was to do everything that I could do so people would make better choices. And I've done that now for over 20 years. And I think that when I had the opportunity, I was able to change the way a lot of people thought. Was it going to be enough? I don't know. But I did what I could.
Do you think there are more vegetarians now?
Oh, sure. My hometown actually had a vegan restaurant. Isn't that amazing? The man that gets the Nobel Prize for the film on global warming neglects the #1 cause of global greenhouse gases? Does that give you some idea of the power of the industry? That a man that was out there to change the world on global greenhouse gases, do you think he did not know about it? Or was he just unwilling to stand up to the power that they had? When I went on the Oprah show and I told a few million people that we were grinding up cows and feeding cows, they sued Oprah, Harpo Production, and myself for 6 years in court. Cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars to protect ourselves for telling the truth.
My reaction is that free speech not only lives, it rots.
Maybe Al Gore was worried about the power of the industry, or maybe he was self-serving because he actually raises cattle himself. And if you look at Al since he left office, there is no doubt in my mind that he's eating well too many of them. If there's something you would like that you don't see, I'll get it for you. No salt or pepper.
No, that's fine. What was your favorite meat product when you were?
Hamburger.
Hamburger? You ate a lot of hamburgers?
Yep. The best meal in the world was pork and beans, potato salad, and hamburger. I could eat that 3 times a day, every day. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Didn't make any difference.
Really?
Loved it. Turned out okay.
Why so, not say it turned out great?
Well, if my wife cooked it, it'd been better. But it just goes to show that if an old cattle farmer can do this, anybody can do it. It's just a matter of time. It doesn't mean that we should slack off on what we're doing. But if we do everything we have the capability of doing, we will win. There's no doubt in my mind.
The FAO has made some very interesting calculations. Between 1950 and the year 2000, the world population grew from 2.6 billion to 6 billion people. Yet meat production increased fivefold, from 45 to 233 billion kilos of meat each year. It's predicted that there will be 9 billion people living on our planet by the year 2050. And what will happen with the meat production? The meat production will double to 450 billion kilos of meat by the year 2050. And of course, the greenhouse gas emissions will double too. And I'm talking about kilos of meat every time, but of course we are talking about living and breathing animals.
In a lifetime, the average European will eat 7 sheep, 24 rabbits, 43 turkeys, 789 fish, a third of a horse, 5 cows, 42 pigs and 900 chickens.
So the average European devours 1,800 animals in a lifetime. If every person on our planet were to do the same, we would need 142 billion animals every year. In truth, the agricultural sector worldwide has gone off the rails. The cycle has become completely disrupted because we have started to produce meat as cheaply and intensively as possible. Forests in South America are disappearing because Europe demands huge amounts of animal feed. the gigantic factory farming industry in the United States, the huge level of meat consumption in the Western world, all at the expense of the climate, biodiversity, drinking water and food for the very poorest people on Earth. If we don't change our eating habits, we will be consuming 450 billion kilos of meat by 2050. What does that mean for our planet? Dr. Steinfeld, what does it mean for our planet? What's your scenario?
Well, there is a pessimistic scenario, and that is that nothing is done about it, and we continue to produce animals in the way we do right now. And in that case, the environmental impact is going to deteriorate beyond measure. And there is a need to urgently address this issue and to deal with waste, to deal with greenhouse gas emissions, to deal with biodiversity losses. And measures are available, technology options are available. What is lacking is the political willingness to act on these and to steer the livestock sector into a more sustainable way.
But suppose we eat no meat for, let's say, 1 day a week. Will that have any positive impact on the environment? What do you think?
Well, the impact of livestock production is probably disproportionately high compared to other sectors. So reducing consumption is likely to have a positive impact on the environment.
What do you expect? Are we going to eat less meat in the future?
I think that the human health concerns and the animal welfare concerns and the environmental concerns will be increasingly appreciated by a growing number in the public, and that will lead to a slow decline in, at least that's my personal prediction, to a slow decline in the consumption of meat in particular.